Hey, what's going on? This is Rick, the middle class millennial here, and today we have the Duramax XP4500 inverter generator. It's a dual fuel system. This is the mid-range version. They have a smaller range version, which is like for 120, 20 amp version, and then they have a 9,000 watt 240 30 amp version, which is much larger than this unit. And we'll be going over this today. The reason I chose this unit was this was the mid-range model. I wanted to use it for emergency power for my house, but also something that was still lightweight enough that I could put it in the back of a car. If I need some help, I can get it in there with two people easily and take it somewhere, either take it camping with me or have a friend borrow it for emergency power as well. First off, quick disclaimer, this is not a sponsored video. I'm no way associated with Duramax. Please take what I say in this video as a grain of salt. With any questions regarding this generator, please contact the manufacturer. Now on with the video. As far as dimensions are concerned, this unit is about 2 foot 2 inches or 26 inches deep by 1 foot 5 inches or 17 inches wide by approximately 22 1 foot 10 inches tall. So it's pretty large, but like I said, with these handles that are included here, it's pretty easy for two people to lift this up and get it in the back of a vehicle. It also is pretty easy to roll around. It has this little handle that pops out and you can lift it up because it comes with 2 wheels on the back. So pretty easy to roll around if you need to. So as far as features go, when it comes to our output, we have 4,500 starting watts for gasoline, 3,600 running watts. For propane, you lose a little bit of power. You get 4,275 peak watts, 3,420 running watts. This is also your access panel to access your air filter on this side of the generator when you need to clean and service that. We come up to the front here. We have our idiot tag. You want to leave this on the generator for anybody that needs to start it. It has propane on this side and gas on this side to kind of go over the overview on how to start it. Aside from the idiot tag up front, it's also got some warning labels on top, you know, do not run your generator indoors. I don't know how many times I got to tell people that, but people do it anyway and they die. You also have your gas can inlet. It'll also tell you how much fuel it takes. I leave the sticker on your 2.6 gallon tank or 10 liter tank. It's also got a catch around here, so if you spill any gas, it'll come off the sides. It also has a little screen in there, so if you, for some reason, have dust or dirt in your gas, it should hopefully catch it in that screen. Don't know why you'd put dirty gas in here, but it's nice to have that. Up to the front here, we have our, get that out of the way, we have our control center. When you turn this on, it'll light up. It'll tell you how much gas is in the tank. It'll tell me I have 16 total running hours on this thing. It'll also switch between running hours and how many hours it was on, so when I start it up, it'll show that as well. Your voltage, your frequency, and your power, how much is being drawn, that'll indicate that the power's on, overload, and low oil light. Here's your start and stop for battery start. They come with a remote that you can use to remote start it. I rarely ever use this. And then you have your low idle, on or off. You want to start it in the off position. The on position, it'll basically be economy, so it'll stay at a low idle until there's a need for power to rise, and it'll automatically ramp up. You have a USB port, you have a USB and a mini USB, I think USB-C in there. This is very important. This is your battery. This is your battery charger. So if you want to keep your battery charged, you just plug your AC adapter into there and it'll keep the battery charged for you when you need to use it. Circuit breaker for your 20 amp. This is your 120 volt 20 amp plug. This is your 120 volt 30 amp plug, which we'll talk about that here in a sec. And then this is where if you want to run parallel, your parallel ports, but it will require a parallel kit to use that. Here's your main breaker. This is in the opposition currently. And then this is also for your ground. If you need to put a ground bar in, you want to ground the system, it's often recommended to do that. Pro tip, if you guys ever want to get the most out of these generators, make sure to get yourself a 30 amp 120 volt plug or a 30 amp 240 volt plug, depending on your generator, and plug it into the generator inlet plug right here. Now, for example, let's say you're going over, some friend of yours needs to borrow the generator for emergency power on your house. Go ahead and get yourself one of these adapters here. This is a 30 amp 3-prong adapter, 120 volt. It'll hook into your 30 amp cord. And now they got 3 plugs they can use, and they can draw heavy loads on these 3. So instead of running annoying extension cords into your house, you just run one big fat cord into your house and plug everything into that if you don't have some kind of legal backfeeding system, for example. So I thought I'd point that out there. You will not get the most out of these generators unless you utilize the big heavy duty plug on them. Don't solely rely on the smaller 120 volt, 20 amp plugs. This are on the side here. So this is where you check your oil. I've already checked the oil for that. This is if you want to pull start it. Your fuel switch, so if you're running gas, you want to clean out the carburetor. Once it's in the on position, you're going to switch it to the off position. It'll burn the fuel out of the carburetor so it doesn't get gummed up with gas while sitting over time. This switches between your fuel, between propane and gas, and then your propane inlet. So, and then most importantly, one thing I want to stress too, on the back, we have our exhaust here, and it's got a spark suppressor screen over here to kind of keep sparks from coming out. So it does reduce fire hazard, even though I would not have it close to objects like I have right here, but we're not gonna be running it for long. But anyway, so I'll go ahead and show you guys the startup process on this generator. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start the generator using propane. First off, hook your generator into the hose connector, turn on your propane tank, switch it over to propane, have this in the off position. Come around to the front up here. Now we're gonna do battery start. It'll actually, just go ahead and put it in the on position once you set. Before we push this button, we're gonna do 2 light pulls of the crank just to get some propane in there, in the system. Now, one thing I wanna make note here, if your propane tank is cold, it will have a hard time starting. I tried this out when I got it last year in the cold. I wasn't having any luck getting this thing started in propane. I had to use gas and warm up the generator first, then switch it to propane and it took over. So if your tank is really cold, like it's been exposed to the elements, it's freezing, 0 Fahrenheit outside, it will have a hard time starting. Now, this tank is also a little low right now, so it may have a hard time starting, but to start it, go ahead and hit the start stop. And it'll try a few times to get started. Oh, it already started right up. We had the low idle on, it should have been in the off position. But anyway, there you go. So it'll show you right now that we have currently, it's 16 hours logged. It'll switch over, it'll show you how long it's been running right now currently. So we'll switch to that here in a second. Yep, right there, so 0 minutes. So when it warms up, switch it to the low idle position up to on to save some fuel. Now let's go ahead and hook some stuff up. All right, to test the inverter side of things, I went ahead and I got a 1500 watt space heater. We're gonna switch to 1500 watts now and you'll see the engine ramp up. Oh, it probably helps if we turn on the main breaker. There we go. I had to reset it. But you can see it goes up to 1.5 kilowatts. We're getting heat out of here. Set it down to 750. So yeah, definitely goes down in noise and oscillates depending on your load. So, all right, well, we'll go ahead and unplug that now. Just shut off your generator. You can hit the off button right here and it'll shut itself off. Usually I tend to close the propane tank and then let it run out of fuel and shut off. But anyway, all right, in the meantime, guys, we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hook the 30 amp plug up and we're gonna hook it up to my house and we're gonna run some loads in the house and see how it does. Now, when you're hooking this up to your RV or your legal backfeeding system on your house, I would highly recommend you guys use a surge guard. This not only protects against surges at an RV park, but for a generator use, it also protects against low voltage, AKA a brownout. The only problem with this system is, from what I've read, the waterproofing isn't guaranteed when it's setting flat like this, so I'm gonna have to put something over it to protect it when I plug my plug into here. So the cool thing is this, if you get the Surge Guard wireless display, it'll give you all the information you need. It'll tell you what your amps are and what your wattage draw is from the generator, your frequency and your volts. So that way if you're cooking in the kitchen or something, you don't have to go and look at your generator outside to see how much wattage you're pulling from the system. It's nice to be able to look at it from inside your house or your RV. It also comes with a little mount too, so you can mount it inside your RV, or if you lose power often in your house, you can mount it on the wall in your house somewhere. Go ahead and do a stretch test. I went ahead and turned my space heater on at 1500 watts. We're gonna set the microwave to about 20 seconds. So let me open and close it real quick. Time cook, 20 seconds. It's running, it's able to pull both of those loads. And up to my display, I'm pretty much maxed out on my generator. With all my lights running in the house, Wi-Fi, router and stuff, with the microwave running and the spacer running, I'm pulling 3.1 kilowatts. And look, it'll go back down, the microwave's done. Now it's 1.5 or 1.6 kilowatts because of the 1500 watt space heater. So as far as emergency heating and air conditioning, now I have a heat pump system on my house. My generator will not be able to run my heat pump. As you can see, my units up above are offline, but I could still run probably theoretically I can run 2 of these space heaters at full blast if I had to in an emergency, but I wouldn't really have enough wattage to draw on anything else. My generator would be running at 100%. However, I can comfortably run one of these space heaters at 1500 watts. I still have enough to run the microwave and do some basic cooking in the kitchen. Yet alone, I can also run these space heaters at half capacity, 750 watts or 500. This one will actually go down to 500 watts and spread them out in the house to have a little bit of heat coming in. Plus, I also have a 6000 BTU air conditioning unit, which I have tried in the past. It does run on the system, but since it's getting cold out, I don't want to put it in the wall to show you guys. But I can also run a 6000 BTU window unit in my house and keep my bedroom cool so I can get some sleep at night. By the way, when I was doing some testing, it did protect against a brownout. I almost missed it, guys. I barely missed the footage. I was getting some light flickering, and it was able to shut the system off, and I was experiencing a brownout. However, I was experiencing a brownout for about a few seconds because my propane tank's low, by the way, just to let you guys know. I knew it was low in testing this. However, it's not instant. It's about 1 or 2 seconds of low voltage before it kills power to everything that's feeding it. However, though, my generator continued running for another 10 to 20 seconds after it killed power to the house. So that is 20 seconds of low voltage that could damage electronics that it potentially, 20 seconds of less stress that I had to go through. So overall, I would recommend the Surge Guard. However, keep in mind, not all Surge Guards offer low voltage protection. Most of them just offer only high voltage protection. So overall, I thought this generator turned out pretty good for my needs. I'm able to run a full-blown 1500 watt space heater and run a heavy kitchen appliance, plus keep my refrigerator and freezer running and some lights and stuff. So I'm able to do some cooking with it, and I'm able to have some level of temperature control. Like I said, I could run my 6000 BTU window unit, for example, if it was hot outside, and get some sleep. So it does work out pretty well for what I need. I think mid-range model, I think this is a good size for me personally, just because it's, like I said, it's that middleman. It's small enough that me and a buddy can easily put this in the trunk of any vehicle, but at the same time big enough that I can do more than just run a fridge on it and some lights. I can actually do some cooking with it and have some level of temperature control. For those of you wondering how I legally backfed the system to my house, let's just say I used a generator interlock kit. I'm not going to make a video discussing it because even though I hired it out and stuff, I'm not a licensed electrician, so I just don't feel I should talk about that. Also, guys, I will be putting the Surge Guard here that I used for this particular generator. This is a 30 amp 120 volt Surge Guard. I will be putting that in the video's description along with the separate display for the Surge Guard. You don't have to get it, but this display works for this particular model, so check that out. And also, guys, the 30 amp cord that comes with this has got a 30 amp 120 volt twist lock on one end and the 30 amp RV plug on the other end with a nice little convenient handle. This is a 50-foot long cord. Link will be in the description. Also, like I said, if you want to run that one big fat cord in your house and you don't have an interlock kit, here's the adapter for it that you can plug in to the cord and just run one big fat cord in your house, like I said earlier in the video. Also, I think this generator is a good bang for your buck when it comes to the money. I got this generator for about $14.99 at the Home Depot website about a year ago now. I'm sure it's went up a little bit because of inflation. But even though there are solar generators and stuff out there, like the EcoFlow, for example, and many others, I still feel that the best bang for your buck right now is still a generator option, especially if you don't lose power that often. I still feel that this is the best option for emergency power, considering how much you're spending. You're getting a lot more watts per dollar on a gas or propane dual fuel generator than you are on a solar backup battery system as of today right now. It is getting there, but I just don't feel it's there yet to justify the price tag just quite yet. Aside from that, this generator is due for a 20-hour service. I will be talking about that in a later video. I'll probably be putting it up here when I decide to release that video on the 20-hour service. Also, I recommend checking out Gavin's Garage. I'm not affiliated or know him in any way or shape or form, but he has a lot of money to buy a lot of generators, I guess. He has I think 50 to 100 generators on his channel, so hopefully he can help you guys figure out what kind of generator is right for you based on your size and stuff. In fact, he has also this particular model. I think he actually pins it up against other models, so I will leave a link to his channel in the video's description here. And until next time, you guys take care.